All right, we're back. So this is the Diagnose Bravo podcast with Demi.
And Maury.
And today we will be talking about memorable verbal lashings. I have been looking forward to this episode for a really long time. Because if there's anything that we know about the housewives is that although they may not always use their fists, they will always use their tongues.
Big facts.
Um, this will be a two-parter because there was just so many that we couldn't choose everything. And this is not even to say that these are our favorites. These are just like the first like six or eight, I think, that came to mind when we thought about verbal lashings. Um, so there'll be some honorable mentions, there'll be some that we chose maybe a better fit for other episodes, but there's nothing to it but to do it. So let's get into it. The first one, and this is no particular order, it's not really put in any particular way, but the first one we're going to talk about is a more recent verbal lashing, and that is Miss Denise Richards and Erika Jane from Real House of
Mm.
Beverly Hills. Um,
I love
so
Erika
tell me,
Jane.
tell me what you think, my friend.
Erika Jane is a character that, and she said it, that everyone has inside them and is maybe too fearful or doesn't know how to release that part of them. And Erika Jane lives confidently in her I don't give a fuck attitude, and I'm here for it all the time.
Yeah.
And this is season 13 for Beverly Hills. I really like Erika's ability to be open to changing her personality or her character flaws, because she can acknowledge that she could be a little harsh and she wears a plate of armor and it's really hard to make connections because she has trust issues. This season she
Yeah.
opened up so much more than I was expecting her to.
Mm.
I did not know how the season was going to go. However,
She's been
don't
so closed off for so long.
yeah, it's just been so sad and negative for her with everything that she has going on. However, don't let the healing journey fool you.
Ish. Not with Miss Jane. Definitely not with Miss Jane. And I think it's interesting because when they get into this fight, this two-part fight, to be completely honest, when they get into this fight, Miss Kyle is like, "Oh, what happened to giving up fighting for Lent?" Honestly, I still think she did give up fighting for Lent,
Mm-hmm.
but like we like to say, don't come for me if I didn't send for you.
Mm-hmm.
And she did not send for Denise. Denise
Mm-hmm.
Denise decided to come on her own. So she told her what the fuck was up. And it's unfortunate that it went the way that it did, but I still think that she's being a good Catholic. I'm not even gonna hold her.
I agree. I think that honestly, and I don't I really like Denise just because of she's chaotic. Chaotic is fun for me. However, she came to Kyle's THC dinner twisted on anything but THC.
Twisted.
Had her coat on backwards and was telling Dorit, I know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. And it's like production
That was
again.
such a General Hospital moment. It was like, girl, this is not the soap operas. This is reality TV show. Take it down a notch, please.
It's soap opera for Denise Richards because production definitely did a playback of Denise's coat on the right way when she came in and the wrong
Bro,
way there. So it's just, and this is
and
after
for
her whole
once,
thing.
Dorit was only trying to help. Like, normally I'd be like, yeah, Dorit be doing too much. She be exaggerating things and like doing extra things for, not for clout, but for drama. But
Mm-hmm.
I think she was genuinely trying to be helpful. And she was so confused. She was looking at herself like, is my stuff on backwards? Like, what's happening?
For Dorit,
No, no, Denise was just losing her fucking shit.
as
But
fuck.
and it was crazy because when me and Maura were watching this episode for the first time, we both didn't know what Richards was talking about. We were
Yeah.
like, what is she saying? Like, and she was like, oh, run back, watch the show again. And we're just like, bro, we don't understand what she's talking about. And I'm not surprised that Erika responded in the way that she did because even Erika had no idea what she was talking about. And she was like, whatever it is that you're talking about, like, I'm sorry that it's clearly upsetting you, but I really don't know what you're saying. And I think of all the things that she could have been upset about, what she brings up was just like, that's what you were upset about? Do you remember what we originally thought she was mad about?
Um, Actually, no, because that thing was so small and passing. And maybe for her, because it's about her children and you don't talk about people's children, I get that. But nobody was
No,
gonna remember that shit. You're
no
talking
one
about
remembered
threesomes.
it. Yeah,
And
no
at
one
this
remembered it.
point, yeah, and at this point, Erika, or not even at this point, Richard's daughter is on OnlyFans. So we're not even focusing on the fact that she may have known about threesomes at 13.
Honestly, I didn't even know the girl was on OnlyFans until Erika said that shit on the internet. Like, I was
I
not
saw
aware.
it. I saw it on like Facebook or something. And then I saw Denise Richards after, and I was like, not them both. But like,
Yeah,
listen, power to you. I want to do shit like that and make money, but I'm a pussy and I'm just going to do marketing consulting instead. So this is, I don't blame them. You seem to be making bucks, and I like that for you.
bro.
But Erika again is reminding people that she's not the one to fuck with. So Erika being
Hmm.
so off guard with this whole thing because Denise was already off her rocker. Nobody knew what the fuck was going on with her. She's talking about watch the show as if Denise Richards didn't wasn't in every big argument around those times with her
Right.
crazy husband. Well, not crazy husband, conspiracy
He
theorist
was
husband.
a little bit Looney Tunes. Let's be real.
I didn't want to label because I felt bad. Maybe he really believe he definitely believes in the things that he's preaching. I don't know how behind it I am. I don't know anything about it, but he seemed to have that conspiracy theorist mindset, and good for you, fam. But yeah, that was the thing. It wasn't really something big enough for anybody to remember. And honestly, if it really bothered Denise this badly, she could have reached out to Erika. It's not like she don't know where the fuck she at.
But here's the thing. I would understand if it hadn't been addressed 3 or 4 years ago, whenever this happened. Erika apologized. She was genuinely apologetic about it.
She did.
They had lunch like they always do. She was like, "I'm sorry, but also you were just talking about your husband's penis 5 seconds ago."
She
And she
was.
brings that up in this current episode. So it's like, it doesn't make any sense why you're still harboring on it. Erika says a lot of fucked up shit that people should probably hold grudges against, but
Mm-hmm.
that did not seem like it was one of them because it happened, one, so long ago. Two, she apologized about it. Three, your daughters were all up in the mix. If this was a problem, you shouldn't have had your daughters at a dinner with all of these women unless it was like a family type thing where everybody's kids were involved, everybody's kids were running around. Like Kyle's barbecues that she used to throw during the summer times, nobody was talking about dick then, or if they were, they would
Mm-hmm.
send their kids off somewhere in the corner so they could talk about dick. But that's not what
Mm-hmm.
happened. Your kids and their friends are sitting 2 tables down from y'all. And I don't remember what Denise said about her husband's genital areas, but she said it. And you see her daughter look around and look at her. So it's like, how are you going to be upset at Erika for talking about threesomes? And it wasn't even like she was giving details. She was like, oh, who's had a threesome? And I think Garcelle said that she was offered to be in a threesome or something like that. Whatever. But like, I just don't understand why this is so upsetting to her and so upsetting to this day.
I
Like
agree.
I figured we would have gotten over it. When I saw that this is what she was talking about, I was like, this? This
Yeah,
is
we
the
we
hill
we
that we're
both
choosing to die
screamed.
on?
we we were both like, what the fuck? That's what you were so mad about all this time? And it's 4
Right.
years later. It's not like,
I would have I honestly thought it was the Rena of it all because her and
mm,
Rena, came for her about the whole Brandy thing. I thought it could have been about Brandy. I thought it could have been about a multitude of other things because honestly, I probably would have never forgiven that. But the threesome conversation that Erika had already apologized for, that happened 3 years ago. We still talking about that? Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
say it. I'm gonna say it and I'm gonna tell you.
Okay, girl,
I
tell me.
think the only reason why she brought this up is because it allowed her to have more TV time. Because let's pick something that's so small, and then now there's a clear tension between these two cast members, and that's a good way to get on the show. Because you're providing some relevancy or some value into her being on camera. It's not like she wasn't mic'd up, you know, like
Yeah.
it was a whole performance. She chose to do this then for camera time, not because it was actual beef. And because you sat there and thought that Erika was the one to go to, you and your daughter got red for Phil.
Bro, her poor daughter didn't deserve that. Her
She
daughter got
didn't.
no beef with Erika Jane, and she got red for Phil.
She didn't. Honestly, I didn't think about that question, but I low key want to know the answer. Who's more profitable?
I don't know. And the way she said it was so smooth. She didn't hesitate. She didn't stutter. She said that shit with her chest and she stood 10 toes down on her response.
She
Who is
did.
more profitable, you or Sammy? I would really like to know. And I honestly don't think she was coming from a slut shaming place. I think
No.
she was like, you're ridiculous, and I'm going to show you how ridiculous you're being
Yeah.
because it did not make any sense. Is Erika a mean person? Absolutely, she's a grade A bitch. She will tell you that shit herself, but she's not a bitch for those reasons.
Yeah.
Like that's not why she's a bitch.
I agree.
Like
I I love her attitude and I love her coldness. It's just
yeah,
it's unmatched. I can't wait until the reunion because she's definitely going to be on the reunion to talk about it. We
yeah,
all know that.
yeah, yeah. And can
Um,
we talk about Dorit, bro? And I feel like that's another
ooh,
thing
hot
that we need to
stir.
talk about. But it was the way that Garcelle was shutting her down. As you could tell that she was feeling really embarrassed. You could tell that she was feeling some type of way about it. And she goes, "So Denise, do you let's rile you up because
Yeah.
I'm tired of the attention being on me. Let's talk about your beefs and your issues with Erika right now." And and Erika said the right thing. You're a fucking pot stirrer. Like, what are you? And then you're just gonna leave? And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I'm gonna rile up Denise and I'm gonna go see my husband. I haven't seen him in a week. Girl, get out of
Theatrics.
here. Get
That
out
was
of
all
here.
theatrics. I think that you're right. She she had a moment and she was like Batman smoke, like bomb smoke. It was a magic trick. Nobody
Yes.
gave a fuck about Dorit at that point, bro. Y'all done got Erika
Yes.
activated.
Bro. And she
Love that.
said, I don't want to give it to you, but if you keep asking me, I'm going to give it to you. Now, do you
Yes.
want it or do you want to be peaceful? And Miss Richards says, I want it. So
She
Erika had to
did.
give it to her. And I can't even be mad at Erika because that was great TV, bro. That, if I don't remember anything from this season, I hope I remember that shit because that shit was
This
funny.
is a
And
really
and
good
I've
season.
talked to Maury about this before. Like, I do like Erika. My love for her has wavered over the past few seasons, especially because of how she reacted to the whole victim situation with her husband and blah 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 blah. Because I felt like even if she was 100% innocent in this, I didn't appreciate the way that Erika, especially when Erika was like, I don't give a fuck about anyone but me.
Yes.
That was honestly, I was like, bitch, you're cold, and I kind of like it. But at the end of the day, like, there was victims involved, there were people involved, and she was fighting for her life. And I guess I can see how uncomfortable she felt because everybody was coming for her as if it was her fault. And I'm not going to speculate whether or not she knew, whether she didn't know, whether the 2 million, the 20 million was put in her account. It is what it is. I don't understand the legality or the legal jargon or whatever the fuck. That's not what we're here to talk about. But it was just the way that she was eviscerating everybody. And although it was fun to see because, verbal lashings, it was getting toxic.
And
It was
sad.
getting like it was just giving like trauma. Like it was just a lot. But
Honestly,
I
yeah.
feel like this was very much different than that because of how she was able to keep her demeanor and how I don't feel like like when people have that saying like you cut someone and you just bleed on everyone. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like Erika wasn't just bleeding on everyone because she was hurt. I felt like something happened, she reacted to it, and she kept it pushing. Whereas in the past like 2 or 3 seasons, she has been angry every single episode. And
Mm-hmm.
here she's happy, she's laughing, she's not drinking as much, she's not as I don't even know the best word to describe it, but she's just not as harsh. Like she's been so harsh. She's been coming for people in ways that was like she was just so threatening all the time. Like when she like bared her teeth at Sutton, I was just like, are you gonna bite this woman's throat open? Like
Yeah.
what is going on? And I feel like we're starting to see the old Erika back. The Erika that we met back in season, what was it, season 9 or 8 or something like that?
Hmm.
That Erika that we love, the beautiful one with the dresses and the hair and the glam and the diamonds and blah 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 blah. So it's nice to see that she still has that in her. And it's nice to see that she's no longer just coming for anyone who looks at her sideways. And this is off topic, but do we probably still need to talk about the victims? Probably. But I also think that it may not necessarily be um just Erika that we bring these things to. Like her husband, she wouldn't have been able to do what she did without her husband, unfortunately. So her
Hmm.
husband deserves equally as much of the flack as she does. But again, that's not who we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Erika and the way that she uses her tongue, and that way is amazing.
Yes. I love it. And it's always been a part of her to be so witty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's a nice Southern woman. I like that for her. But
Girl.
you know, like, and Beverly Hills just has so much because it's all a facade for everybody in this show. It's all about the glamorous life, not about the hard times. And
Mm-hmm.
Erika has been through some really hard times.
Yeah.
Um, Another fight that we think of when we're looking at Beverly Hills is the Amsterdam trip, where
Lord.
Rinna and Kim got into an argument. And you know,
It wasn't Rena and Kim. It
it was
was
Kim
Kim
versus
versus
everybody.
everybody, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
it was a Kim fight.
she was like Scott Pilgrim and the evil ex-boyfriends. She was like, and I'ma fight you, and I'ma fight you, and I'ma fight you, and everybody can catch these hands. It was a great time to be alive. But speak on it, friend.
Yeah, you know, with Rinna and Kim, they've had their beef for forever. They
For
were
so
just never,
long,
yeah, they were just never able to click. Kim is friends with Brandy at this season
which
on
is
this
so weird
episode.
to me.
Weird as fuck because they did not get along at all. And then all of a sudden they started getting along. And the reason why I believe they got along, and let me tell y'all, me and Demi do not like Brandy. We're not going to give her much
No.
time on this podcast, honestly. But Brandy mimics people, mirrors people's personalities and behaviors so that she can blend in. She did the
Mm-hmm.
same thing with Lisa Vanderpump.
LVP, yep.
Yep. Every time that she spoke, and you know, she still had like her own attitude where she's like the fun gal, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
she
Because
brought
she
to the
was
table.
younger than them. So, like, she
Hmm.
brought that fun, young energy and all that stuff. But she was just, she was also vicious with her words, but not in the way that Erika is, where it's like still kind of low key classy. Like
Hmm.
Brandy was just from the
Messy.
trash. Like
Yeah.
it was hard. The things that she would say is just like, why would you say that to someone else? Like,
And she
what
said shit to
possesses
Kim.
you? Yes, and the things that she would say to Kim, and not that's not to say that that night that she asked Kim if she was doing coke in the bathroom, they low key deserve that because her and Kyle were being bullies. Like they were bullying this poor girl with one leg. Like she was on crutches. She had one foot. She was not having a good time. They were hiding her crutches and everything. So honestly, I probably would have asked her if she was doing cocaine in the bathroom as well. But you know, when you go low with Brandy, Brandy goes to hell. And the
Hmm.
way that she goes to hell with certain people is just like I don't like it, but you know,
I
neither here
agree.
nor there.
There's a difference between being savage and just being messy. I like savage because it's like I said what I said type of thing. Brandy's messy where she has to come for your
It's
jugular
not
just because it
even
makes her feel better.
messy because I like messiness. It's she's just vicious.
Yeah,
Like she
that's
there's
a good one.
no boundaries when it comes to her. Like there's nothing that can't be said, nothing that can't be done. Like she has said a lot of tone deaf things, some low-key racist things. Like I don't like the way that she kept talking about what's that woman's name? Yolanda? Not Yolanda. Yo
No, the
the
Spanish one
the
that was on
Spanish
like the one
one.
season. She
Yeah.
kept saying her name wrong on purpose
Yes. And then she was like, "Can you swim?" or something
because
crazy
black people
like
can't
that.
swim.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yes,
girl,
she done slapped Lisa Vanderpump.
yeah, that was weird. And then she was like, "Oh, the way that you like slap your puppy." Like, girl, cut it out. Anyway, this isn't about her. This is about Rena.
I miss Rena so much. I'm
I
gonna say
don't.
it every time we talk about Rena. I miss Rena. I don't know
I
what it
don't.
is about her kindred spirit for me, but I'm like, yes, you
No.
are. I just feel her emotions. I do. I feel
Not
like
I
she's.
feel her
I
emotions.
feel her
What are
emotions.
you, her spiritual god dog? Like,
I
she's
just
feeling her
I feel her
emotions. I
emotions.
feel her emotions.
I do. I don't know. Every time she's on there, I just feel connected. I don't know what it is.
She is she a mother from a past life? Is that what's going on?
Maybe, maybe we should do a reading together, Rena, please, because I feel it. But yeah, I miss her so much, and every time I'm gonna bring her up, I'm gonna say it.
Oh
But
God. I
yeah,
don't like Rena. And this fight is part of the reason why I don't like Rena. Because now I don't fully agree with Kim. I do think that Kim lost her shit during this fight. But for some reason, Rena was so obsessed with Kim. And I don't think her explanation of the passing of her sister and all the drug abuse that she was going through cuts it. Because except for this one situation where Kim was bugging out in the limo. Was it the limo or was it a car? I think it was like an
it was
Uber or
it was the
something.
limo. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whenever. Like that was the only thing that could be like, okay, like show some concern because Kim was doing a little bit when she was calling you a bitch, and it was just very, very awkward, very weird. I personally felt uncomfortable. But outside of that, you were all up in this woman's business. When she told that young woman whose name escapes me, who I think was friends with Dory or something, when she told that girl, yeah, they think that Kim is close to death, I was just like, why would you say that? Why would you say that about
That is
someone?
true. She
Like, she
okay.
unhealthily obsessed with Kim. It was just so weird. And it's like, stop. Like, she told you to stop talking about it. So let it go at this point. There's nothing else to talk about. But Kim was her storyline for like 3 solid years.
So okay, I felt like her description or her reasoning behind her being on top of Kim so much was enough. And the reason is because I come from a family where such afflictions exist and how it's hereditary and how it's affected me, how it's affected my family. Um and I feel like whenever Rena's on screen or on camera, she's still herself. She's still feeling what she feels and she feels it very largely. There's no like small reaction to the things that she feels. It's the same thing that you see when her mother passes. She feels so hard, she's incapable of feeling anything else. And she took it out on everybody. And in the same way that she took it out on everybody her last season, I think she takes it out on Kim here. Because if she could have been the way that she felt like she was being to Kim, to her sister that passed when she was young, her sister would still be alive past the age of 21. So I think that's what made it enough for me because she was just really trying to come from a good place. Like she had really good intentions. It's just you have to have a taste for Rena, I think, and a taste for for how she goes about her intentions. So that's what makes me feel like it didn't have to escalate the way that it did. Another thing too is Yolanda was trying to start a connecting moment and Kim just took the whole baton and threw it into the crowd and said,
Yeah,
fuck
that
that,
shit
I'm
was
talking.
funny. That
she,
shit was funny.
she was like, I'm making this about me now. Cursed out Rena, called Eileen,
A
poor
beast.
Eileen, a beast.
I miss Eileen, honestly. I really do. Because she was just so down to earth. But before we get into all of that, I do kind
Yes.
of want to respond to what you just said. I
Mhm.
understand about the aspect of having so much addiction in her life and all of that stuff. And I'm what I wasn't saying was that it was invalid. I would never say that. I don't think that what she was saying is invalid. I'm not saying that this is possibly the foundation of what she felt for Kim. My whole thing is when you have trauma, when you have triggers, even though it's so deep and so real for you, it still does not give you the right to put that on anyone else. You have to hold that shit. You have to own that shit. That belongs to you. And I feel like part of what I did not appreciate about Rena is that she would constantly try to put that on other people's backs. Kim is already going
That's
through
true.
a shit ton of stuff. Kim already has trauma from her family, trauma from her addiction, trauma from her childhood, trauma for a lot of stuff. What she doesn't need is you projecting the trauma that you have about your sister onto her and her situation. If you want to help me, help me. Don't help me because I remind you about your sister. Don't help me because you feel guilty about
That's fair.
what you coulda, shoulda, woulda done in the past. Don't help me because you feel like this is going to assuage or assuage any of the guilt that you feel. If you want to do right by me, do right because you give a fuck about me and what I'm going through, not because you feel like you have something to prove about your own trauma. And again, a lot of people, especially when you go into mental health fields, a lot of people go into those fields because they've been traumatized, they've seen trauma, they've dealt with trauma, they know trauma, and they want to come in and they want to help the people. There's a lot of savior mentality that comes with helping people with their trauma. But if there's one thing I've learned, you can't help people because you want to save them. You need to help people because you want to genuinely see them do better. And I think that was the problem that I had with that situation is
Mm-hmm.
that I don't feel like she wanted to help Kim because she genuinely wanted to see Kim win. I think she wanted to help Kim because she felt like it would make her feel better about the things that she was dealing with. Maybe if she could save Kim, it would be like, okay, I don't have to feel as bad for not saving the people in my own life. And again, the you can it's all good intentions, and I agree with you on that. Good intentions. I'm not saying that Rena is a bad person. I'm not saying that it was an evil choice. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying is I don't think she was going about it for the reasons that would actually benefit Kim.
That's
And
fair.
that's part of the reason why I had such an issue with this dialogue because it didn't help her. Like, what helped her was getting her off the fucking show. That's what helped her. Was
Yeah.
stop putting her on TV. That's what helped her. And that's why I like seeing her now because she looks healed. She looks good. She looks happy. She looks great. But back then, she was looking fucking crazy because
Mm-hmm.
you guys were constantly putting her in situations where she could not heal. You can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. She was sick in TV. She was sick on reality. She was sick dealing with all this drama, and that was not the way to help her get healed.
That's fair. I didn't think about it in the lens of you're not saving your sibling type of thing. I think that
Yeah.
that's very very fair, and possibly something Rena didn't notice either.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, a lot of people don't notice that shit because that, especially if you don't have that perspective and all you're thinking of is, oh, I want to, I wish I saved my sister and now I want to save someone who's going through the same thing as her. Of
mhm.
course, you're not going to think in that lens. Like, this is in no way to like say that this is Rena's fault, but it's about taking accountability for your actions and really understanding the motivations as to why you do certain things.
I agree. I think that she could have done some soul searching before she decided to help somebody else that was
Yeah,
had a lot more trauma than she realized, and she was just
yeah.
getting on the surface of, because at that time she still hasn't met the wrath of Kathy, which is
Nope.
Kim and Kyle's older sister.
Ooh,
So
child.
it's just a toe in.
Yeah, yeah.
And Kim again firing shots at everybody. Yolanda's opened the story with, let's share something to connect. She talks about her daughter who gets a DUI and how that made her feel. Lisa's chiming in. Everyone's feeling emotional about it. And then Rena goes, this is what as mothers we have to go through, and I lost my sister, and this is why I've been projecting onto you, Kim. And the camera pans over to Kim, and you just see Kim's, I don't give a
Kim
fuck what the
don't
hell
give
you
a
talking about.
fuck what she had to say at all.
Zero. She was like, and now you're talking to me as if I didn't tell you not to talk to me about this anymore on the plane. Um, so she's already upset. Then she started coming at Eileen, called her a beast.
Bro,
Then
that
she
shit was
started
wild.
coming at Kyle, who's always, we're gonna do an episode called Diagnose Bravo's Profile. Kyle Richards. That's gonna be one of them.
Colon. Exclamation point.
Yes, because the relationship with her sisters have always been strange. She's a middle
Hmm.
child, or she's the last born, right?
She is the last, yeah.
Yes, she's a last born, and last borns are just naturally sensitive. However, she grew up in a traumatic environment. So
Yep.
all of this arguing was going down. Kyle's getting yelled at for not defending Kim, but Kim is calling people beasts and telling them to eat bread.
I can't defend that, bro.
I can't
I
defend
can't
that.
defend that shit. Like, that's wild.
There's no way my older sister is going to call someone a beast, and I'm gonna be like, "Yes, yeah, sis, I'm not doing
Get
that."
her. Especially when that person is my friend. No, if I don't like that girl, yeah, call her a beast. Get her, sis. But I mean, that's my friend. And Kyle took a lot of verbal lashings from Kim. And that whole family dynamic is very weird, and we'll definitely get into it. And there's a lot of things under the surface that us as viewers have never gotten to see. But I think at that time it was like every year Kyle was getting bullied essentially by her older sister. And I think there was just nothing left for her to say. Kim was
Yeah.
so explosive. These are her friends. It's embarrassing because it keeps happening in public places. Like, why do we keep going to restaurants for you to scream in my face? This is getting out of hand. You
Mm-hmm.
know, your supposed best friend put her hands on me when I was just trying to see what the fuck was good with you because you were acting like a crazy person. You kept
Mm-hmm.
going to the bathroom. You kept calling my friends bitches. You kept screaming at Renna in Renna's face. Like, you didn't defend me when your friend put hands on me. So why am I gonna defend you when you're out here screaming in my friend's face for yet another time? So I can't say that I blame Kim, not Kim, Kyle. But what I will say is her running out the restaurant like that, hilarious.
That she had the fight or flight kick in, and she chose flight as she should.
She
I wouldn't want
she
to be there
with
either.
that cape that she was wearing, she was flying. That bitch was getting flued out,
Ritter's throwing glass on the floor, damn near
bro.
choked Kim.
She did choke her, and I'm like, so we're not gonna talk about the fact that you almost choked Kim, but okay, I guess not.
Yeah, girl. She reached for her throat. She was like,
Hmm.
listen, you could be next.
Listen, Linda,
And she
I was
meant that
on
shit.
soap. I know how to make it look real. I was on Days of Our Lives. I know how to
Damn.
make it look real, and I will
Damn.
choke you in this bitch,
She
candy
really meant that.
style.
She really meant that. That would have been better
Hmm.
for me. But yeah, it's just so unfortunate because poor Kyle's in the middle of everything. Poor
Yeah,
Kyle's running out the door. Lisa
yeah.
Rinna is about to jump this lady. Um,
Who they
there
never got their bread. I
they
don't think I
never
saw
got their
any of
bread.
them eat that day, or at least
Same.
during that scene. Like,
Yeah, we're watching it. And Demi's like, but did they eat though? And I was like, I don't think
I don't
so.
think they even
Because
got an appetizer.
now everybody's crying on the side of the road.
Embarrassing, embarrassing.
So
Oh my
there's just
god.
a very unfortunate type of thing going on, honestly.
Yeah.
The next fight we have, also while people are trying to eat, is the fight at Candiace's house between Candiace and Ashley for Real Housewives of Potomac. Now this
Yeah.
is season 4, episode 8. Candiace has an odd relationship with her mother. We talked about in the past, there was a lot of financial dominance going on, and Candiace was dependent on her mother, and people made fun of her for that. They made her seem like she was less than just because she had such help, which made no sense for me, because if you really think about it, Ashley depends on that man who cheats on her with other men.
Right. And
And
women.
women,
Everybody. Just
everybody.
everybody's getting part of that
Bobby
man. Because
Stick,
we
this is
look,
rated
we
E.
didn't go and mention his name because we don't want him to sue us like he's trying to sue Candace. but
Damn.
everybody was trying to get the down under. Okay.
Yeah. And
Should we
so,
have a nickname for him? Oh, what did she call him? Crocodile Dundee?
yes, Crocodile
That's what his
Dundee.
name is, because we can't mention
Yes.
his name. We're not trying to get sued.
Yes. And we can't get sued by the Dundee family either. Please understand. We're not talking about the actual Steve Urkel. Not Urkel, Steve
Not Steve
Irwin.
Urkel. We do love some Steve Urkel though.
Yeah.
Him and Stefan.
Yes, all the Steves.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, Candiace invited everybody in the show to her house. What's his face? What's his name? Chris was cooking, and as we all know, Chris can
He
cook.
was throwing down.
That man was sweating in there.
That
He was
that duck
slaving.
quesadilla, I was all into that. That risotto, I was into that as well. There was just so many things that he was saying that I was like, and just put that on the plate, please, sir.
They were way too busy arguing in front of such great food.
I would have been
It's
eating.
yeah, it's not like you went to a restaurant because every time we're watching the show, they're arguing at a restaurant. They're all the food's left on the table, nobody ate. But this is this is somebody's home where somebody's husband made a dinner for y'all, sweating,
Yes. Yes.
slaving, and this is you have to make it multiple ways. There were pears soaked in alcohol. You have to do
Mm-hmm.
that. You have to
In
prepare the
port.
pears for a
Like, this is
salad.
crazy. He made a risotto. I've made a risotto twice in my life. The first time it was undercooked. The second time was actually pretty good. But risottos are not easy to make, no matter how easy it seems on Hell's Kitchen. That shit is not easy, okay? That shit is hard as fuck.
Yeah, you couldn't give Chris the respect. Now you got Candiace activated because,
Bro, she was activated.
and moments before Ashley enters Candiace's home, and she's one of the last one to enter it. They're talking about Crocodile Dundee's speakings in a bar where he said he would suck somebody's sausage, one of the husband's sausage,
We
and
all
then
know who.
yes, we all know who. And she comes in, everyone stops talking about that. Everyone's still engaging in some way. And Ashley's like, yeah, I really want to go here with good vibes. And then as soon as you get the moment to talk about yourself, you start talking about yourself and how Candiace hurt you in Candiace's home.
Right.
Then had the nerve to say that it's not your home, it's your mom's home.
And you know what's crazy is that, like, it wasn't like Candace's mom was 100% funding her life. Candace, Candace was paying. Candace and her man were paying half of everything. And let's be real, I think that Candace
Yep.
was about 30 at the time. It's hard. Life is hard. And life was just as hard 8 years ago when this stuff premiered. So to make it, well, I don't even think it was 8 years ago. It might have been like 4. But to make it seem like people haven't helped you get where you are is crazy. And no one can say that they did this shit on their own, especially Miss Ashley. You wasn't bringing in the big bucks until you married your very wealthy husband. Wasn't
Yeah.
she a barmaid? Not a barmaid, Lord have mercy.
No
Wasn't she
barmaid.
like a bartender or a waitress or something before she met her man?
I don't remember.
She was not a millionaire, I can give you that much. Like, she surely was not. The only people that I can say really like worked for where they were at is Juan Dixon roommate. Honestly, she was
Yeah.
with that man since high school. They both worked together to be where they're at.
Yeah.
Giselle and her husband, I don't know about her wealth situation before she got with her man, but she was first lady of her church. I know she was putting in the work for her husband to be where he is today. He did not build that church on his own. He built it with his wife. So
Yeah.
to make it seem like she's less than you because she has her mother helping her out, you pay your mother. What are you talking about? You're out here paying your mom so she could live her best life.
Exactly.
So
So it was
you're
just
you're
not the
being upset
moment.
because she has generational wealth? Get out
Yep.
of here.
Yes. Ashley had to work really, quote unquote, hard for her and marry rich and deal with this Crocodile Dundee looking man and
Right.
came to her house talking like this. Then she
Right.
kicks you out.
Bro.
You come back in the
Well,
second
here's the
time.
thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Miss Jizzy. Miss Jizzy invited her in the second time, okay?
Yes, you're right.
And it's crazy because I think I've rewatched Potomac like twice. but this is the first time that I'm rewatching like the beginning after everything has happened with her and Candiace. And I'm just like, yo, Giselle is messy. Because the woman left, it seemed like she was actually going to leave. And then you were just like, yeah, we still have things to talk about. And you know what? Candiace wants to apologize. Candiace never said out her mouth that she was going to apologize. Candiace didn't say none of that shit. Candiace wanted you to get out of her house. So I can't say that I blame Ashley for coming back because Miss Giselle told her to come back. Like she was being messy as fuck.
Yes. Now that's the first time. I'm sorry, the second time. The first time she came back. The second time she came back was on her own will.
It was. It definitely was.
But first time I can understand. You had someone saying, let's talk it out, let's do this. Well, and then when you get in there, once she got in there, she should have realized that that was actually not the truth, and Giselle was playing a very terrible peacemaker, and she should have left. Instead, she was like, "No, I'm gonna stay right here." Then left, came back to talk about what Candiace said to what Candiace said to Katie about Monique calling her Amistad or slave looking.
Yeah.
And who invited you into this conversation? You are now back in my home telling me about the shit that I said in the place that you weren't at. Get the fuck out.
I done told you to leave. She offered her a beverage.
She offered her a beverage.
And
she came into
back.
her home, offered her a beverage. And poor Chris was just out here trying to steer the conversation away as much as possible. He was trying to steer it right, and it was going left.
Honestly, I need a man to speak to me like that because that was great. He was like, control your emotions. This is your house. I was like, yes, Chris, it is my house. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. It's just not fair to poor Chris. This is my
He's the real victim.
He's the real victim.
The real victim in all of this is poor Chris.
Slave him.
Making all that good food. And people wasn't eating it because they was too busy fighting.
Yeah, and then Ashley made a joke about Candiace being hit by her mother.
That was in poor taste.
That was terrible.
Yeah, that was in poor taste. That was in poor taste.
You're gonna be here saying that she got hit with her mother's purse as if she's a grown woman. Like she doesn't want to talk about that. She doesn't want that out there. She doesn't want to talk about it right now with you. And you're already bringing up all this shit. So while Ashley's having her own part in being pot storage to rile up Candiace, honestly, that's what she was doing.
Because I think that she knows that she gets under Candiace's skin.
Yeah.
And she does it on purpose. And I'm going to be completely honest. I was not the biggest fan of Candiace at this time. I did agree with what a lot of people saying in that the way that she used her words was ridiculous. But Ashley knew what Ashley was doing. Ashley knew that she was going to activate Candiace because she has before. And I genuinely feel like she was saying a lot of these things just to get a rise out of her, just because it was a fun thing to do. Like Ashley does that a lot. So it was just all really messy.
It's very sad because
RIP that dinner, because me and Maury would have had a great time eating that duck.
Yep. Eating and drinking, and with the alcohol soaked peaches, pears. It was just unfortunate all around. Another one that we have an honorable mention for is Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 4, episode 12. And that's where Marlo and Sheree get into that ridiculous gibberish argument.
It was so bad.
You can't tell me. And Demi and I are not violent individuals.
No.
However, if at some point it gets to where I'm speaking gibberish to you in this manner,
scrapping.
I would have punched you mid gibberish. Now we're scrapping. This is what we're doing.
They was fighting for too long.
Yeah,
it was like at some point we have to do something else, and that something else was to have punched you in the face at this point.
Yeah,
because what are we even doing? Like it was just so bad. I don't understand why Marlo needed to be included. No one knew she was coming to Africa. Okay, like there were just so many things that were wrong. Nobody knew that she was coming to Africa. I had no obligations to invite you. Also, her and Sheree were not real friends, so it's like, why am I inviting you? And I also did not like that Marlo dropped
The F
the
word.
F slur. Like,
Mm-hmm.
disgusting. I don't we don't even know if the people, well, I don't know if the people that she was gonna go to the party with were gay or not. But either way, it's a slur. It was a slur back then because Candy says, I don't think you're supposed to use that word. We all knew that that was not a word that you should be using on the television or in any type of place. And she was like, and the F word, girl. Yeah, you lost me there. Like, everything that you say at that point is irrelevant.
Fact. And okay, so I have a diagnosed moment here.
Okay.
So Marlo has the need to be included because she's been excluded for most of her life for one reason or another.
Okay.
She's been cast aside by her parents, she feels like, because she was an orphan. She had to do certain things to get money. She's had to survive on her own. And there's been many moments where she may not have been invited. So for her to find her community or what she feels like she's determined this is what she wants and to not be included is a trigger for her, because who's going to tell her no? She's been giving herself yes this whole time because she knows what she wants, she knows what she deserves, and nobody's going to say anything other than that. And that's her survival. I think it was a big trigger for her. I think, you know, it's like a kid not being invited to the party when all of their classmates have.
Yeah. But
Um
here's the thing.
mhm,
I will give you this. I think that's a astute observation. And I think to some level that definitely probably is true for her. Because we all know like things that you go through, especially when you're built on survival, when you feel like you've made it, but you're still feeling like you have to prove yourself, it's
mhm.
gonna make you act a certain way. But it wasn't like she was the only one who wasn't invited. Like, no one except for Cynthia, who couldn't wait to run with that piece of information. She was flying the way that Kyle was flying. She was like, I'm gonna scoop the whoop my way over to Nini's room and just drop this conversation on their laps and then drop it wrong to make Marlo upset. Like, it was just so weird to me. But I felt like if everyone had been excluded, then I would have been like, yeah, Marlo, you know what, get her. But she wasn't the only one. And of all the things to feel excluded from, that's what it was. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there was a
Honestly,
bigger hill to die on, honestly.
there 100% is, but she was triggered and
She
she don't care
was.
about nobody else's attendance except her own. She's
Yeah.
the type where it's like if you go to the club with her and y'all are both there and you don't get in and she don't really fuck with you like that or care that you couldn't get in, she going in and say I'll see you later.
Hmm.
So she didn't give a fuck. And the thing is, Nene didn't want to go either. I think that if Nene was as upset as Marlo was,
Hmm.
Marlo would then be screaming me and Nene and not just me, Marlo.
Yeah.
But at this point, she has her emotions about it, and she's gonna say what she has to say, and that just turned into gibberish. And I'll say it, and I've said it, and I will continue to say it. I will never want to get into a physical altercation or an argument with Sheree. I
No.
that woman
Never.
is intimidating. I love
Hmm.
her. I think she's a great character. Um, but every time I see her in those moments, I'm just here. Like that could not be me.
No fighting with her. Not
No,
with them.
she got muscle
She's
definition.
built. Definitely has muscle definition. And I would not want to be on the receiving side of that punch in the face. No,
Fact,
not me. I don't care that she's shorter than me. No, I'm not trying to fight that lady. Like, I'm not trying to fight that lady.
not at
She
all.
gonna get me. And then where am I gonna be? In the hospital. Don't have time.
Exactly. The thing with this part of the show, they have a huge click going on. Like there's a Nini crew.
Yeah, it's called The Talls and the Smalls.
Yes, there you go. There's that, and it was not a it was a high tension time
It was
in
very high tension.
for Atlanta. Isn't this also where Candy met Todd, Africa?
Yeah, that's when she met Todd. Is in
Yeah,
Africa. He was on the production crew.
yeah. That was quite the moment.
Hmm.
I
Candy
wonder what
didn't care
Todd's
about
reaction was.
nothing because she I also wonder what his reaction was. He was probably like, what the? Because he's from New York. So he would have been like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I've never seen ladies fight like this. Like,
I think that any Atlanta argument is one of my favorite arguments between Atlanta and damn, honestly, never mind, that's a lie. All of these all of these locations argue very well. Potomac is good
yeah.
because the way that they come for each other is quick-witted. Atlanta is good because they're savage as fuck. And Beverly
Hmm.
Hills is good because it's messy as fuck.
Yeah.
And Demi and I could not fit all of the fights that we wanted to, or arguments that we wanted to put onto this episode without it being so long. So this is our first two-parter, and our
Yeah.
second part will come out next week, where we're still going to talk about some Atlanta mentions, and of course we have to talk about that Phaedra and Kenya reunion fight, just because the way that Kenya was read for filth.
Oh God, it was so bad. I have that whole fight memorized, bro.
She does. I asked her which ones should we be doing, and I was trying to remember the dialogue exactly. And Demi just stepped in and did the whole thing by herself. So that's gonna be next week.
Rent free in my head.
Verbal lashings that live rent free in my head.
Hmm.
That's gonna be our topic next week. Verbal lashings, part
Part
2.
two.
I'm excited.
Yes.
Thanks for listening, y'all. Drink
Yes,
water
yes, yes.
and have a
Touch.
good
Well, you
one.
can't touch the grass now because of the snow.
Yeah.
But just don't even go outside. It's too cold for that.
Yeah.
Just drink some tea.
Drink some tea.
Yes.
Yes. Do something y'all enjoy. And we'll see
Yes,
you next
yes.
time.
Alrighty, bye.